WindWhisper Racing Team, the first of our boats to reach the Mediterranean, powering ahead with an ever-increasing lead. Welcome to the Ocean Race Show. We're going to get to the action on the water in just a moment, but before we do, a quick update about 11th Hour Racing Team making their progress at the moment towards Geneva. On the 29th, their redress hearing has been confirmed. That's going to be the mechanism to compensate their scores if the jury decide that their scores need to be compensated after the crash in The Hague. All the representatives from 11th Hour Racing Team will be there, along with the other teams as well, and we wait to see what will happen on what will potentially be a very critical moment for this edition of the race. In a completely unrelated point, we picked up a little bit of lost property from The Hague. So if you were down there on the water, maybe sailing out there on the opening stages of this final leg start, and you know who this belongs to, let us know and we'll try and return it to its rightful owner. Now, yesterday, out in the water with the IMOCA fleet, we left yesterday's show with Team Holcim-PRB saying this about Biotherm behind them.
They just gained a lot of us in the past 2 days.
And just after that, Biotherm continued to close down on Team Holcim-PRB. Team Holcim-PRB stayed further inshore compared with the French team, and as they sailed into a wind hull, Biotherm were able to jibe out to sea again, avoiding the lighter winds and slipping past into first. And it wasn't the only reason to smile for Biotherm. Mariana Lebateau, sailing past her home country of Portugal, wasn't able to stop and say hello or shore, but that didn't stop her friends and family from wishing her well.
Ah, les enfants, ils sont pas à l'école. C'est cool que les enfants ont venu aussi. Pour maman qui est en mer. C'était super cool de voir les Portugais. Enfin, j'aime bien le français quand même, ça va. Mais ça fait du bien voir des Portugais.
A nice break from the racing, but for Biotherm, sadly the crew had to get straight back to work because their newfound lead was quickly under threat. Team Holcim-PRB had headed right inshore, denying the chance for Biotherm to close down the split and lock in their new lead. And while still in different waters and different winds, Team Holcim-PRB fared better and were the first to pass south of Cascais. And it was a similar story of wins and losses in the VO65 fleet. Not for the leaders, WindWhisper Racing Team, who had over 100 miles to their lead and seemed incapable of making any mistakes, but the battle for second and third between Team Yayo and Merpuri Trifort Racing Team. Team Yayo was still in the lead, but only by 2 miles, as Merpuri Trifort Racing Team skipper Roberto Bermuda de Castro kept the fighting close. With the squall providing plenty of breeze, Team Yayo chose to sail the most direct route possible, sailing within a mile of Cabo de Roca. The team had underestimated or perhaps misunderstood what would happen when the squall moved on and suddenly found themselves becalmed.
Hold. Keep to the sky. Look up. Door. Thanks.
Behind them, Merpuri Trifort Racing Team stopped tailgating the Dutch boat and jibed away to avoid the light winds engulfing Team Yayo. Jelmer van Beek had all the crew up, working desperately, trying to find some movement away from the cliffs to limit the damage and hold on to second place. But it was of no use, and for 30 minutes the boat sat drifting on the current, trying to find a way forward, and Merpuri Trifort Racing Team sailing past to the west.
So we got Max in the mast, calling the wind. It's very fluky in here, we got these mountains. And then we're just going to this cape, around the cape here, and then hopefully we'll get out of it.
Now in third place, Team Yayo follow their new pack leaders Merpuri Trifort Racing Team South, waiting for a chance to get the miles back, and they didn't have to wait long. The boats parked up under a cloud, and this time it was Team Yayo who managed to wriggle free first and sail back into second place.
We just set another park up under the Cape of Cascais, and we no wind at all, and we chose to stay close to land, and the Merpuri team decided to go out at sea, so pretty intense, you know, who's going to be first out, but I think we kind of both out on the same moment, so racing with them again. We had a 2 mile lead and lost it now, so I think we would say we're equal now, but pretty intense. These moments never stop. We had Max up in the mast to tell us where to go, and it's This racing, like don't have a lot of breeze. That makes it kind of easy, but that's the only thing that makes it easy because wind on, off, changing sails all the time. It's pretty intense, but the team is doing well. It's still a long way to Genova, but yeah. Now we're settled on the mast at 0, going fast. I'm pretty sure in an hour of time we have to peel to a new sail, but for now we go fast.
14, 9, 5, yeah! Let's go!
Out ahead in the VO65 class, WindWhisper Racing Team was awarded the Vasco da Gama Mir-Puri Foundation Prize for the first navigator of the fleet to cross 37 degrees of latitude.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so pretty.
But it wasn't all celebrations for the team, who had some technical issues on board.
So we've got a problem with our water maker. It wasn't making fresh water, so it was just still slightly salty. So we think there's a problem with the membrane, which we can't fix now. But what we've done is replumbed it, so we're basically flushing the brackish water through the desalinator again. And by doing that, we're basically desalinating the water twice, and we're managing to get drinkable water coming through. So it's going to be a bit of a process, but it means we're going to have fresh water until the finish, hopefully.
All the teams rely on water makers, and when they are working this hard under the heat of the sun during the night and day, having to limit the amount of drinking water can become a serious problem.
Let's cherche biotherme.
Team Holcim-PRB, back as the class leaders on the water, were watching those park-ups in the VO65 fleet and were trying to find a route around the bad air.
We're fighting to get a bit of pressure. You see over there.
Yeah?
You see some rain. It's now raining. And we just got into the A3 because we know we're going to use it later. We just filled the J0. We came from an A2, so pretty busy here. So I think we're in the right direction with speed. You see over there? And you can see it?
Yeah?
You see it's super, there's nothing. There's Austrians just saying they are parked. And we just got this pressure. So we're super happy, I think. I will just check with the guys, but I'm happy because we're moving in the right direction. So, and we see, so far so good.
Meanwhile, 30 miles behind, Team Milizia's Will Harris was trying to find the chances to catch up. The young British sailor spent the last edition of the race in Race HQ, monitoring the boats out at sea, and this coastline was bringing back a lot of memories.
So in the last race, when I used to work in the race control in Alicante, we'd drive across Spain during the stopovers, and we'd come surfing to the beach here, which we're just sailing towards now, Riviera de Islas, and it's 2 or 3 miles that way. Super nice beach. It's where they do all the surf competitions, and then afterwards you go into you go down to Cascais for a pastel de nata. We're in Lisbon. Very nice holidays here.
Beautiful beaches and sunsets to enjoy, but Will was concentrating hard into the night, finding ways through the tricky conditions.
Maybe a chance for us to kind of play a nice card and try and come up to the others a bit, gain some miles if we find a bit better wind. So that's what we're going to try and do. The wind bends round the corner and then kind of stops. So during the night it can be quite difficult. So see what we find.
Team Milizia looking for those chances that are going to be moving them out of third place. And at the moment, our two fleets are approaching the entrance to the Strait of Gibraltar. Well, everybody except for WindWhisper Racing Team, who are already through and are now into the Mediterranean and facing that challenge head on. But for the boats behind, it was great to see the two fleets coming together.
We thought we were having a nice sail and a fun afternoon. Around the outside came the first of the 60-footers at a blistering pace, which was really, really fun.
The 60-footer passing Viva Mexico was Team Holcim-PRB, now on the more powerful reaching angles that these boats are designed to exploit. And with enough breeze to fly on the foils, the IMOCA was doing 18 knots to the VO65's 10. Those speeds for the IMOCAs and of course for our VO65s won't be staying high for too much longer. The bulk of the fleet making their way through the Strait of Gibraltar are going to be facing the upwind section through that first push in the Mediterranean. We've got a high pressure system building out in the Med, and that is really sucking the power out of the breeze. But from there, things start looking a little bit better. And the next section, as they push on past the southern edge of France, we're going to be getting the big Mistral breeze coming down. And that's going to be a great chance, and possibly the final chance in this edition of the Ocean Race for the IMOCAs to show us what they can do on those reaching courses. After that, it's then pushing up towards Geneva. But in this area here, the winds are really light. And at this time of year, the confidence is, well, poor. The chances for light winds and a bit of a drift up to that final finish line looking very real. For our navigators, it's a pretty big headache. We're going to be leaving race control this afternoon and making our way to Geneva, where we're going to be bringing the action from that finish line. So for tomorrow, there won't be an ocean race show, but we will be bringing you all the drama from the boat feeds as they come in, and we'll be picking up the story from the Italian shores.